So for the first movie that I watched, it was Get Out. I would say Miskin scene for that movie. Props specifically, the way they're arranged and what they chose to use. There were props from all around the world, which was what Chris's girlfriend's dad was explaining in the beginning when they first met. And the best way to explain what kind of like presence that kind of gave off was like if you're at your friend's grandma's house, and you got a lot of anxiety, you don't know where to sit or stand or where to place your body because you're like too afraid to move because you might break something, just like a lot of old collectibles laying around and whatnot. So it kind of gives that, it induces anxiety basically. And I think that's what the directors meant for it to do. And the costumes or the outfits for Chris and his girlfriend, very generic, everyday outside wear, what you would typically see. Now for her family and her extended family and older friends, it was more that white person, old money kind of deal. Not bougie, but it's not like super, cheap, run-of-the-mill stuff. It's very high-end, like fashion, but it's not flashy, if that makes sense. So it's like very old money kind of look, kind of like golf attire, essentially, if that makes sense. And I would say Get Out did really good with the camera angles, especially in the beginning with the panoramic kind of view where the young black gentleman's walking down the suburb street. It's kind of panning around him and giving you the entire lay of the land. And especially when that Porsche is kind of lurking behind him, it kind of pans around to like let the viewer know that, this car isn't just some car driving by. It's, they're up to no good. Kind of gives that Halloween, Michael Myers kind of feel. Where the character is kind of by themselves in the middle of the street. Everything's dark except the street lights, and they're being watched. It felt like it made you feel like the character was being watched, and he was, and it invoked that kind of spooky, eerie feeling that would later set the stage. And also lighting. The lighting, one of the scenes where Chris went out to smoke a cigarette, he was kind of walking around and he saw the young maid lady upstairs in the window, and the light was kind of shining in his eyes from the house. And it was kind of that first moment where he was like, this is kind of weird. It was basically the turning point where he was like, stuff's kind of out of place. She's sitting there checking her hair out in the window because she can't see him because the light is reflecting, and he's standing there with the light shining in his eyes like, whoa, that's really weird. So I think they did a really good job on that. Spirited Away, animation style, but still really good angles. I really, really enjoyed that movie. They did a super good job on the animating, especially from it being from 2001, so that was really good. And out of both films, I really liked Spirited Away, just because it invoked kind of a nostalgic feeling inside of me. Get Out, the acting I did not like at all. It was not that good, but the script and the writing for that was very good. And for the social context for Get Out, very racist undertones. I picked that up almost immediately. It had a good backstory and whatnot to it, but the social context for Spirited Away, I really like that. I like very old Japanese culture, especially like the samurai kind of culture. Very cliche, but they also have a little jab at the how they treat the spirits. They're very spiritual people over there in Japan, and I really like that. And formal context, I just love the animating style for it. It was super good. And my favorite part in the entire Spirited Away was actually in the very beginning when the wind is kind of moving and bristling by. I think they did a super good job. Like you can't physically see the wind, but you can see the wind just moving everything, and it invoked a very nostalgic feeling, like a fall, autumn, Halloween feeling. Because here in Texas, we have 2 seasons, super hot and super cold. In Virginia, where I'm from, we have all 4 seasons, and I miss fall season. It's my favorite season. And seeing that kind of wind, the wind felt crisp and like cool and nice. And I really liked how they did that. That was probably the point where I was like, this is a really good movie. But my favorite scene is actually with that wind moving in the very beginning. You can actually see the wind moving right there and blowing her hair.
The wind's pointing us in. What is it? Come on.
It's very captivating the way they did that, and that's probably one of my favorite pieces that they did in this movie. So I really enjoyed that a lot.